let's first go to your topic.
Me? Okay.
Let's talk about Mario Batali. So now this news.
Unfortunately.
Let's back up. Mario Batali.
Okay.
Accused of sexual misconduct
right.
from a couple of days ago. What's
In
the
the
news?
list of people who have been doing it, but this man, there's interesting sound in my ear.
It's just the video.
Okay.
Right there, yeah.
So as you're watching this, Mario Batali, one of the former co-hosts of The Chew, was accused of sexual misconduct, and instead of putting out a PR statement, he put out a newsletter to all of his fans saying he apologized, subscribers, who usually receive a weekly recipe from him, some cooking tips. Well, this week they got an announcement about his misconduct as well as a recipe, postscript, of pizza dough cinnamon rolls, just in case you were having a bad day and you read the beginning of the letter.
Sorry.
He needed a little bit of sugar at the end. How do you feel about that?
Isn't that a little awkward?
It's
I mean,
so awkward.
Is it
It's just
necessary to throw in the recipe? I mean, you have one moment in time where all eyes are on you, right? It's always about, there's the accusations and then there's the statement.
Right.
We've seen so many of these
And
lately.
you're waiting and waiting.
Exactly. So the statement should be nothing other than either you're admitting to it, you're addressing it. If you think it's all, these allegations are all false, that's your moment to make that statement. But to then do that and then throw in a recipe, it just doesn't do it for me.
No, and what
Either you did it or you didn't. That's your moment in time.
Right.
You have our attention. Say what you want to say.
And this
but we're
is
not
going
thinking
to get
about
worse
recipes
for
right
him.
now.
Oh, and it's going to get so much worse. Nobody's going to think about his recipes shortly because the contracts that he has with Walmart and Target, finito.
Really?
Yes. And if you go on Target.com and search Batali, enjoy, you will find one cookbook.
Oh.
And then if you Google or if you search him on Walmart's website, they have one sauce and it is no longer available.
Wow.
So then I checked out the company who makes his sauces. They have also decided to transition their business with the Batali brand because it no longer fits with their core values. But in a letter to, I believe, the people who buy their products, the Walmarts, the Targets of the world, they said, please continue to support us. We're going to donate the proceeds from this brand to a nonprofit organization. There are a lot of people out there that need this help.
Right. And here's the other thing. I think that they will make it available. Let's say you really like that pasta sauce. In fact, he has this Alfredo sauce that's for some reason really expensive, but it's really good. Okay. So shying away from that. If people still want the sauce, whoever makes the sauce in bulk with that recipe, I'm sure will somehow make it known that something very similar is available, not associated with him.
Can they do that?
Oh, of course.
The company is Summer Garden Foods, and
exactly.
I feel like they'd be in a big
here's one thing about food. I think people would be shocked to realize that most bulk food that you buy at the grocery store is made in a few select places. They have recipes and branding and labeling, but as far as how it gets done, it's in a very few places across the country because they can get the ingredients there, they can make it in bulk, and they can also distribute from a place that makes sense. So I think behind the scenes you'll realize that they're still going to make this sauce or something similar to
Just
it,
add a
but it will
different
not be
brand on
associated
it.
with
It's
him.
they'll find a new way to make the money.
So, talking about distribution, Mario Batali also co-owns Italy. I don't know if you've been there. There's one in New York. It is fantastic.
The bringing one, or it may have debuted in Vegas already. That was a big
really?
story. I mean, I've interviewed Mario Batali before. It's like, it's just all so bizarre. All of his different allegations coming out.
Well, his own place, Italy, no longer has his merchandise anymore.
Wow.
Like, if your company can't
And
support
these
you,
are
you're in trouble.
allegations, but admitting that they've done wrong.
He came out himself and said, while the names of the accusers have not all been revealed to me, what they said or what they accused him of aligns with the actions that he's taken in the past. There was one employee, what was the restaurant called? The Spotted Pig in New York. And that employee accused him of groping and kissing a woman who looked unconscious. And that is unheard of. Well, it's not unheard of these days, but it should be unheard of.
Right.
And so I get everybody pulling back the Walmarts and Targets of the world.
Yeah,
And
it makes
all
sense.
it
You don't
takes
want to
is
be
one
associated
or
with that at
God,
all.
no.
We talked about this last week. What was it? You weren't here
With
on
the-
Friday.
No.
The USA Gymnastics team
Yes.
and Procter & Gamble, who owns Kellogg's, and they had those athletes on the cereal boxes. They pulled out entirely of being one of their sponsors, and I was saying, hey, that seems a little unfair because the athletes didn't do anything wrong, but then we were
They
also
don't want to be attached from a
exactly
business perspective.
exactly.
So this all comes down to that. So I'm looking at the newsletter here.
Okay.
And at first when I heard this, I thought, okay, well, if it was a series of tweets that went out, because right, isn't everything in tweet form these
everything.
days? Okay, maybe there was a scheduled tweet, like giving the benefit of the doubt. Like maybe there was a scheduled tweet that just went out at the wrong time. Like, hey, check out this cool cinnamon pizza dough recipe.
No.
This was P.S. like you said, postscript.
Oh, yes.
So as many of you know, this week this is Mario's newsletter. As many of you know, this week there has been some news coverage about some of my past behavior. He goes on to say, I have made many mistakes. I'm so very sorry that I've disappointed my friends, my family, my fans, my team. My behavior was wrong. There are no excuses. I take full responsibility. Sharing the joys. He goes on to say that sharing the joys of Italian food's his thing. MB, sign off. P.S. In case you're searching for a holiday-inspired breakfast, these pizza dough cinnamon rolls are a fan. It's just, and then a picture of them.
Yeah.
Right. So this was.
I know you guys, we popped it up earlier. This is just a closer look at it. No, it wasn't a tweet.
Do they look good?
It wasn't a tweet that went out at the
Yeah.
wrong time. This
'Cause
was
sometimes
attached to a newsletter.
You see that sometimes there's some breaking news story, and then there's an automatic tweet that it seems in
I
bad
get
taste
it.
that comes out, and then they say, "Sorry, we did
And it
not
was
intend
like from
for
the
that."
sales department
He
of the
intended
news.
to apologize and then give the
Right.
recipe.
It's like,
Who's in charge? It wasn't really him. We know he didn't write this newsletter.
right.
I mean, this is a
I don't
team.
know that. I don't know. but
I'm saying this is someone who has a large business.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, right,
I
right,
see.
right, right.
There's someone, I'm sure, this is me assuming, but being confident in saying, there's a team that's just like we have a digital department.
Oh, of course.
We're representing ABC 10, but there's a digital department. There's got to be a digital department under his umbrella
definitely.
with the company. So
Right.
And
Does
this
he not-
went
does
through
he
the
not
hands
bet
of a PR person and a lawyer, and
yeah.
I would
still it
think
made
him.
it to his newsletter.
this is his reputation on the line. I would
Right.
think, let me see exactly each and every word. Let me make sure I select each word. If he cared that
Yeah.
much, maybe to him these are just allegations, and he's admitting it and hoping that this too shall pass. I do
Right.
not know.
And that's the other thing too. You have to imagine. I mean, as this has been playing out over the last couple months, these are some of the biggest names in, you name it, in entertainment,
Yeah.
in news,
Politics.
in food, in politics.
Culinary.
Yeah, exactly. So to get to that level, their world is different, and with what is going on,
Right.
some of them are denying it totally, and I mean we don't know what's true or isn't, and it's kind of how these things play out.
Right.
But in the back of their mind, you can see by some of their actions that they're imagining that someday this will be over. And then
would
they'll have
hope.
their second chance. So he's
Yeah.
trying to keep his branding connected to food
I get that.
going on with all this.
And maybe to
because
some of his fans, like maybe he in the back end knows that he has a lot of men. Who knows, like what his base is, and if he knows that this story maybe doesn't connect with some of his audience, he still has to deliver from a
Right.
business perspective for what he does.
So we have a little back and
Okay,
forth going
let's
on
go.
in the comments here. David Wong started the conversation saying, Mario Batali adding that recipe at the end of his statement felt a bit like when Kevin Spacey added at the end of his apology the fact that he was gay. Kind of like an attempt to distract from the real issue. But then Jeannie Chavier? I'm not sure if that's how you say your
Okay.
name.
Jeannie,
Sorry,
Jeannie.
Kevin Spacey's apology or lack thereof was 1,000 times worse than the recipe included in the apology. They,
True.
It's
Involving
both
the
like doing
LGBT
salt and a
community.
little lime juice on a wound. Both
Yeah.
of them are terrible. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Well, with the Kevin Spacey's, him being gay was not that wasn't a negative thing.
No,
It
but
was the
him
fact
bringing
that
it up at
encompassing
that
it-
time.
right, bringing it
and
up at
putting
that
it
time.
in
There was a
poor
big
taste.
backlash.
Poor taste.
Yes.
Poor
Absolutely.
taste.
With this, I mean, because we're talking food, I guess I can see how one would say, yes, not as serious, but either way, yes, a distraction
Right.
from what the point is here.
I get
Using
it.
using it as a catalyst, which is interesting. Okay.
Magda.
And remember, the ultimate judge of all these admitting or acknowledging is who cares what we all think about this? It depends on what the victims think of all this and how
Right.
they perceive it. And that's really who needs to be front and center of these apologies or acknowledgments or what have you, is that it's how they view what has been said
true.
and how that, if that moves the conversation forward and tries to make right of wrongs and things like that, because that's really what's most important. It'd be interesting to hear what they have to say about all of this, about
Very
the
true.
recipe at the end of a acknowledgement at least.
At the end of a newsletter.
Right.
Right.
Right. And is that enough? Is just one newsletter enough
Right.
I don't know.
I don't know. Kimberly Morgan
okay.
thinks it was incredibly tacky. She said exactly, tacky apology, throwing in a recipe, exclamation point. She is not here for it. Not here for
Not
it.
here.
Not.
I can understand that.
It's about time that all men start respecting women. I agree with you, Magda. And just people, respecting people at the end of the day.
Yes. Absolutely. I mean, that should go without saying, but obviously it's been going on for decades, and until one woman came out, two women, and then now all of these stories are being revealed, and this has been going on for months now.